Hi, good to see you today. Today we're going to take a look at what you need to get going with connecting to your server so that you can upload and download web files and ultimately build a website at the end of it all. First thing that we want to do is actually get the program that we need to connect to our server, and that is an FTP program. And for that, we're just going to jump into our web browser and we're going to head over to FileZilla to check out this FileZilla program, which is the one that we're going to be using. Now, there are literally tons of, well, maybe not literally, but there's a lot of different FTP programs that are available. The reason why I kind of like to point out FileZilla in this scenario is because it is pretty well supported. They update it pretty regularly, and also it is a cross-platform solution, right? So it works on both PCs and Macs. And when you get to the FileZilla main page here, if you hit download FileZilla client, that's where you want to go. Now, depending on what kind of machine you're running, you can see that we've got lots of options here. I know most of you are using Linux. Haha, probably not. But you know, so you can grab your Windows version here, Mac version down here. I'm on a Windows machine right now, so I'm just going to hit this download here. I'm going to let it download, and we will go through the setup. So file's going to download. Let that happen. Hit save. And then we'll go through the installation. So FileZilla has successfully downloaded for us here. We can see it in our downloads folder. I'm just going to double click on this and run it. Let everything get all set up. I agree. Make it available for anybody that uses this machine. All good, all good, all good. Install. All good. Alright, so we've got this guy all set up. Hit the finish button, start FileZilla now. And what we are met with there is this, our main FileZilla page. So what we want to discuss here is what exactly we have going on here. So as I mentioned before, what we're going to be using FileZilla for is to connect to our server so that we can upload and download all of our web files. And a little breakdown about how this goes, these panels over here kind of represent what's on your server, right? So once we connect to our server, we'll see all the files that are available on our server here. These panels here on the left hand side, this is actually the files that are on your machine. So if you have done the installation and you kind of scroll around and click around through here, what you'll notice is all of your files on your machine. You can see right now it's set to my desktop. I don't have any files here on my desktop, so there's nothing in here. But you know, as you kind of toggle around, you'd see your files from your own machine. Down here, what you would get is that when you start uploading files, this will be like some status dates and information down here, and same thing going up here. You'd have some details about what is happening to your connection up there. So the main things you want to kind of keep an eye open for is that up here will let you know if you've kind of connected to your server successfully, and you know, all your files are transferred successfully, and so that's kind of what you want to pay attention to there. So once you have FileZilla open and you want to connect to your server, what you want to hit is this button on the top left hand corner, this kind of blue and green icon. This will open up your site manager information. So what you have in here, I'm just going to delete this entry that I have. What you have in here is kind of where you can have a list of all the sites that you will be, you know, that you might be connecting to, sites that you're building on or working on, and there's some kind of key information that you need. So let's get started and go in and create a new site. So whatever the particular site you're working on, I'm going to call this one a tutorial site for the time being, and there's a few key pieces of information that you need. First, you need to know the host or the server that you're connecting to, and also you'll need to know the username and the password. A lot of the other fields are kind of generic, so those are kind of like the three pieces of information to keep in mind. Again, host, username, and password. So for this one, I'm just going to put in the host that I'll be using for this example. My logon type, I want to switch that to normal. My username, I'll put that in there, and for password I'll put that in as well. Now, depending on the situation that you're in, if you're connecting to a secure FTP server or a more secure FTP server, you might need to switch this to SFTP. There are some other options here as well, but for the most part, generally you're going to be connecting just to normal FTP. You might have to connect to SFTP. In my situation, this one I have to select FTP. And so what you'll see here, I'm just going to hit OK. Nothing's going to happen right now. But the cool thing is with FileZilla, if I hit this button again, I've kind of got my site saved there, right? So I won't have to enter this information every time I need to connect to the site. I can just kind of, you know, hit the connect button and it'll work. I'll hit OK as well again, and I can kind of hit this arrow drop down and connect to my site from here. So let's just take a look at what happens when I connect from here. Well, you'll see some information popping up here about the status of the connection. Hopefully this will go through okay. We'll just give it a second. So this is actually kind of cool. It seems like the first time it tried to connect, it actually didn't work. See, it says could not connect to server there. But eventually it tried again, so there's probably like just a problem with the connection. And so what you'll see now is on the right hand side, this like archive folder here, I can double click, I have some old stuff in there. That stuff is actually what's on my server right now. So it's not files that are on my machine, these are files on my actual server. So what I could do is I could start building some web files over here, and I can upload them to my server. So that's what we're going to move on to next. We're going to take a look at you know, how we kind of get our files up there. And the thing that's kind of cool about FileZilla again is that it's generally simply a matter of dragging and dropping. So as we create files on our machine, we can just kind of click them and drag them over to our website or our server, and then we'll be able to access them online. Now, if you caught us in any of our other YMC videos or any of our other tutorials or anything like that, you probably saw us using one of the more full-featured programs. For this example here, though, I'm just going to use the standard text editor on a PC, which is Notepad. And what I'm going to do in here, I'm just going to build a very basic HTML file so that we can focus on uploading it onto the server. So I'm just going to kind of put in the most bare bones tags that we need. So we got our head tags, we got our body tags, and we'll give this a title. So we'll say title FTP is a blast, and inside our body tags we'll just give this a heading, keep an eye on the ymc.com, and paragraph, lots of cool stuff on the way. And I will save it, and of course we want to kind of keep our naming conventions in mind. So on my desktop I'm just going to save this, since this will be my main HTML page. I want to save it as index.html, and then I will hit save. So we can see our index.html file popped up on our desktop, and what we're going to want to do is kind of have this guy sent over to our server. So to get this to our server, there's a couple things that we want to keep in mind. On the left side of our FTP program, we've got all of our files on our computer. So we'll see that, you know, even though it says that we're on our desktop here, for some reason our index isn't showing. That's because sometimes when we make new files, we need to kind of refresh this view. So you'll see what I did right there, as I just right-clicked and I hit refresh. So these are the files on our computer, and what we want to do is we just want to send this index.html over to the server. Right now, if you could look online, you'll see that on the site there's nothing there, right? There's just, you know, exactly what we have on the server, just a folder called archive, which we can see there. So what we're going to do is we can either click and drag this one from the desktop over, or we can click and drag this one from in here over. So let's just do that. So we'll see that goes in there. We can see the details up here: connection established, blah 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 blah, transfer complete, directory listing successful. So we can see now that we've got our index.html file over here on our server. What that means is if we go back to our browser and we refresh this, boom, look what we have. We've got our title in there, FTP is a blast, there's our heading, keep an eye on the ymc.com, and lots of cool stuff on the way. So we've successfully connected to our server, took our little HTML file, brought it over. If we needed to edit this, what we could do is kind of take this and bring it back, you know, if there was new files or if this was the first time we were connecting. But now we've got our full connection to our server. Now if we wanted to make another file, let's take a look at what we'd have to do there. So once you have one page built, usually the quickest and easiest way to make a new one would be to just open Notepad again and actually open up the original file that you had worked on, right? So I'd go back to my desktop here, and we don't just want text documents, we want all files. So we've got our index there, and we'll open this guy up. So here's our original HTML file. I'm just going to change the details here. I'm going to say I am uploading again. FTP. It's like riding a bike. And then just in the paragraph, I'll change that and say, don't forget to wear a helmet. Boom. So now instead of saving it as index, though, I'm going to do a file save as, and I'm going to call this one something about, oh, let's just call it page 2 for now. So page2.html. So again, we don't want to save it as a .txt file. We don't want to save it as a text document. We want to save it as an HTML file. So save it. We got another page 2 on our desktop. And now what we can do is we can grab this page 2, click, drag it over onto our server. Again, connection established, and we got page 2 up there. Now how do we get to that page 2? Well, our index is the one that shows by default. To get to page 2, all we need to do is make sure that this slash is there, and then we'll say page2.html and hit enter there, and now we got our new page. I'm uploading again. FTP, it's like riding a bike. Don't forget to wear a helmet. There's our 2 files there. So hopefully all this stuff is making sense. Now you should be smooth sailing. You can build your web pages, upload them to your server, and have them available online for all your friends, family, and you know, everybody on the planet can now look at your stuff. So any questions, you know where to reach us. Mark at theyorkvillemediacenter.com or info at theyorkvillemediacenter.com. Keep an eye on all the cool new things happening at thewymc.com, and take it easy. Peace.